Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to go over all of the books that I read in June. June ended up being a pretty decent reading month for me. I finished, I think, 5 physical books. Yeah, 5 physical books, 3 ebooks, and 3 audiobooks. And I started every single book on my June TBR. The only book that I did not finish was Traveling to Infinity, which I'm okay with. I am 195 pages into this book, and it's around 500 pages. It's nonfiction, so it's just taking me a little bit longer, but I would say that's a pretty good success that I read every single book on my physical TBR, which is pretty exciting. I wasn't sure if I was going to make it there in the end. I didn't finish all of them, but I'm currently reading that one. It's just taking me longer than I anticipated, which is okay. So, got my bullet journal here, so if I'm looking down, that's what I'm looking at. It's starting to look very beautiful and colorful, and I'm liking this side. These are all the books that were on my physical TBR at the start of this year, so I'm making progress there, which feels really nice because we got a packed TBR, and then these are my July reads, so I am just really enjoying reading, and I found some awesome books, and I'm really excited to talk to you about them. So I think I'm gonna just go through my physical books, because I have the stack here, and then I will do the ebooks and audiobooks off of my reading tracker here. So I've still been obsessed with reading on my Kindle. I actually checked this book out from the library so I could read on my Kindle, just because the font is like super tiny, so it's kind of nice to, again, tackle that book with a slightly bigger font. So I've been like switching back and forth there, plus then I'm still tackling my physical TBR, and I can read when it's dark out, which I love. So let's continue this. So the first physical book that I read, I actually already returned. It was a borrowed book, so I'll pop a picture probably up here. It was State of Terror. I realized I had this book on my physical TBR for a very long time. It was borrowed to me, I think, in 2022. From what I can remember, and like going back through my like physical TBR logs, I really started doing that last year, tracking that, and it was on my physical TBR at the beginning of 2023. So 2022, I think, is when it was borrowed to me, possibly even 2021. Not quite sure, but I read that book. I actually really enjoyed it. It's more of like a suspense novel. I don't know if it would be classified as a thriller, but it was just something really different than what I had been reading. I was getting very monotonous in reading quite a bit of romance and fantasy, so it just mixed it up, and I enjoyed it. I don't remember what I rated it, but it was a pretty quick read. I think that one was on my May TBR, and so I just ended up finishing it up in the beginning of June. The next physical book that I read was King and the Dragonflies. This is a like middle grade, like juvenile fiction book, and I really enjoyed this book. It talks about some really relevant topics for kids, so things like grief and loss and identity, and I just really enjoyed it. It was a quick read, and I definitely think this is one that you should pick up. It also has some nice size font. It's, like I said, quick read, really enjoyable, would recommend. The next book physical book that I finished was The Last Murder at the End of the World. This was an anticipated read for me. I was very excited for this book to come out. I enjoy this author, and I also like that this author doesn't write just one genre. So I have the 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. I own that one. I have also read his other book, The Devil in the Dark Water, and I enjoyed that one. I'd actually love to reread it. It's just like they're all a little bit different, but then there's that same like theme of that same like slightly mysterious theme. I just really enjoyed this book. Plus, I just love how it looks and the beautiful sprayed edges. I enjoyed it, and I think I'm actually going to pass this along to my mom to read. My next physical book that I picked up was Fourth Wing, and this book I started and then I got maybe like 20 pages in. I set it down just because I was reading so many other books and I wanted to finish up some of those. And then when I picked this up again, I read the rest in one day. And then I finished this at like 11 p.m. at night and was like, I need to immediately buy the sequel. I have barely started Iron Flame. However, I just am trying to finish up some of my other books that I'm reading, because I know once I start reading that one, I'm going to just want to sit and read the whole thing. And that one I think is about 100 pages longer than this, but I thoroughly enjoyed this book. I have not been like captivated by a book in the way that this book has captivated me in a while. So I just thoroughly enjoyed reading a book that took me to that place. So I would highly recommend. Really enjoyed this. It was definitely worth all of the hype, and I'm finally glad that I read it because I got it as a gift this year for my birthday. Plus, I just love how it looks. It's beautiful, and I cannot wait to read the sequel, which is on my July TBR. So that one will be an easy check off read. And then the final physical book that I finished in the month of June is Under the Lilacs by Louisa May Alcott. This is a book that has been on my physical TBR forever. It's a book that was like in my bedroom as a child, like on my bookshelf, and then when I moved, I adopted it from my parents' house. So I had never read it. It was just a very cute, heartwarming fiction story. Definitely not like that high impact type of story like Fourth Wing. However, it was still very enjoyable and cute, and definitely you can tell it was written in the 1800s. So that was all the physical books that I read. Then I did a lot of reading on my Kindle this month. I was gone for about 4 days, so I just brought my Kindle along and got quite a bit of reading done there. It was very relaxing, and the reading that I worked on were the Elle Kennedy books. I was doing the off-campus series, and one of my goals that I realized that I want to do for the rest of this year is kind of finish up her backlog, because I've enjoyed every single book that I've read by her so far. So, let's see. The first and all three of the ebooks that I finished were part of the off-campus series. So the first one that I finished in the month of June was The Score. That one, I can't remember whose stories was which. And then the next one was The Goal. And then the third one was The Legacy. So I'll pop those pictures up in order. I'm pretty sure I rated all three of these books 5 stars. I enjoyed them. They were just like that really like feel good romance, but with some depth to them. And I'm going to continue working on her backlog of books. Luckily, most of them are on Kindle Unlimited, so I am excited to work through that backlog as I need some more ebooks to read. But those were the 3 ebooks that I read. And now on to, and that helped me finish up a series. So I actually finished up 2 series in the month of June. The other series I finished through audiobook, and that is the Immortal Engine series. I finished the A Darkling Plane, which is the 4th and final book in like the quartet. And that one, it just kind of dragged on for me. It like moved, it was too slow. And by the time I got to the end of the story, I was like ready for it to be done. I did think the ending was very interesting and different than what I anticipated. So I enjoyed the end part, but the middle just kind of dragged on for me. And then there's a novella that goes with that follows one of the side characters. And I enjoyed how that novella connected back into the main storyline, and that one is called Night Flights. And then the last and final audiobook and book that I finished in June was The Foxglove King. Again, this was another book that really was like captivating me and drawing in my interest. The gist of this book is it follows this character that has a connection to like darkness and death. And I just found the way that the author incorporated those themes, like that juxtaposition but connection between death and life in this book through the storyline, was really interesting. And I'm very excited to listen to the audiobook for the next book in that series, which I think just came out, which is The Hemlock Queen. So I'm very excited to continue that series, but I feel like June is a pretty successful reading month for me. I finished 2 series. I finished some books off my physical TBR that I had been on for a long time. I found a series that I am very much enjoying and can't wait for the next books to come out. So I feel like overall June has been a great reading month, and I am very excited to see what July brings and to see all the reading that I can get done, because this is part of my July TBR. I have pulled some of the books and started reading them already for July, and I'm just like very much in a reading mood. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.